Hello, hello. I hope you're well. I am sorry I missed you last Wednesday. I'm having a very busy time at work right now. And
Hello, hello. I hope
unfortunately,
you're
ooh,
well. I am sorry I missed you
ooh,
last Wednesday.
let me sort the sound. I'm really sorry about that. I don't know if there was an echo for anyone. Yeah, no, I was just saying that I've been really, really crazy busy at work. Many of you know that I've got a proper job as well as doing this, and life has been a bit crazier than usual recently. And so last Wednesday, I got pulled into something short notice and I wasn't able to join you. But I am glad to be back. I'm going to chat for a couple of minutes because nobody has yet joined me. You're not used to me being on time. I get that. I know I say 7:30, and often it's a few minutes before I actually get started. Although the last time I did a Facebook Live, I did it at 8 o'clock, and there's a lot more people joined in. So maybe that's something to do. I might do a poll to see what you prefer. Do you like a later start? Anyway, before I get on to the crafting, because I got a cool project for us tonight, I wanted to let you know that there is free shipping with Stampin' Up right now. So if you go to my website, so go to www.shopwithemma.co.uk to shop with me. For today, tomorrow, and Friday, there is free shipping, so that's free postage on orders of £60 and over. And remember that as soon as you hit the £20 threshold, you're earning Stampin' Rewards as well. So this is a really good time to stock up on any bits and pieces that you're looking. Plus, in July, we had the launch of some new online exclusives, which is really exciting. And I'm going to be using some of those online exclusives in my project here this evening. So lots of shiny new stuff for you to enjoy and free shipping, which we always love. So let me flip to the desk and show you tonight's projects. So the online exclusives that I was talking about is this set here, and you might have seen it in an unboxing video that I did a while back. So this is a stamp set called A Little Cheer. It's a photopolymer stamp set. There are 15 stamps there. So you've got the sentiments, you've got the two parcels, a little snowflake, a little sprig, a little bow, and then you've got this stocking, star, and Christmas tree. And these ones have got coordinating punches, stocking, star, and Christmas tree. And they are the tiny, toty little punches. You can see if I hold it up to my thumb, it's about the size of my thumb. I love these punches. I really do. These are the sort of size that I can play with all day. And so what I want to do, I'm going to show you first of all the cards that I did for a recent class with some ladies who wanted to do something Christmassy. Um, I'll show you the card and then I'll show you how we made them, although it'll be very self-explanatory once you see them. So first of all, we had this card here. So I'm using the notelets, and can you see the gold trim behind that? And then this designer series paper, just to remind myself of the name, Season of Elegance DSP. So it's one that we had last catalogue, but it is still current. You can still buy it. And the gold foil on it is really quite cool. And what I've done is I've just punched out the 3 Christmas trees from a strip that's 1 inch by 3.5 inches and put that on the front of my notelet. And then, because we never waste anything, this is the other one. So again, using the trim and using the punched out Christmas trees from that strip to make the second card. So it's what we would call a twofer. Linda Dewar was the one that told me that term. So a 2-for-1, you punch the strip out with this one, and then you use the bits that you've punched out to make the second one. And I've done versions of these. The stockings as well is quite cute. I've got a star version, but I don't know where that's gone. And then this one, which I really quite like, which is using one of each of the emblems, so the tree, the stocking, and the star, on top of this gorgeous gold metallic trim, which I have here. I am loving this stuff. I'm using it all the time. We had the silver stuff a while back. Some of you will probably remember. And I've got the little ribbon keeper as well. So you just pull off as much as you want of your ribbon, cut it, and then use the ribbon keeper just to hold it in place, and it stops it all falling off the ribbon, which is really cool. Hey, Karen, glad you're here. Right, so these were the cards that I did at the class that I had for those ladies at the weekend. Yeah, Linda, it's a twofer. You were the one that told me that term. So yeah, these were the cards that I made, but I've decided that I want to do a little box to hold these cards. And hey, Linda, hey, Julie. Oh, everyone's turning up now. Right, we're going to be doing some designing here. So these are the cards which I have done already, and I want a box to fit them. And what I'm going to do is at the Creativity Now event, we made this little box, which had the bits which opened up like this, which I thought was a really cool design of box. And I thought, do you know what would be really cool? If I used this design of box and made a larger version that would hold the notelets. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. Let me just put these off to one side. We'll keep one notelet out as the size comparator that I need. I'm going to use some thick basic white, which I'm then going to decorate. And I've got my trusty trimmer as well. So before I get to the trimming and the cutting stage, first of all, I need to work out my measurements. So if this is where your grid paper really comes into its own, ladies and gents watching, and just a quick hi to everyone who's watching on YouTube. If you are, do still comment, because I see the YouTube comments as well as the Facebook comments. I nearly said FaceTube there. FaceTube and YouBook comments, I see them all now. So if you're there, say hello. Hello. And if you're watching on catch up, a hello for you guys too. So yeah. This is where the grid paper really comes into its own. I'm going to do it in inches because the notelets are measured in inches. So if I just put it in the corner, I can see that this is 5 inches by 3.5. So I want my box that's going to be big enough to fit that. And then if we have a look, it's kind of got the bits that fold out at the top and at the bottom. Hey, Jean, lovely to see you. Ah, you're all logging on. It's lovely. Right. I want this to be, because the card is 5 inches by 3.5 inches, I want it to be slightly larger. So I'm going to do it to 5.25 inches by 3.75. Okay, so, and I'm going to see if I have my box. I want this part of the box to be the size of the card. So I'm going to place that in the middle. And I'm just going to draw around the corners of my notelet on my grid paper. Okay, and if I just measure, this should be 5.25 by 3.75. It is good. Next, I reckon that I think was about 1 inch high. Do I want it to be 1 inch high? That's quite. Yeah, let's do it 1 inch high for just now. So now I'm doing the inch 2, 3, 4 along all 4 of the sides. This is where grid paper, ladies, honestly, if you've not got any, it makes making boxes so much easier. So I've got my base and I've got my 4 sides. We've got these bits in the corner, which we're going to use as flaps. So I will draw that in as well. Then I need to have the lid parts that go over. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the size of my cardstock, which is 11 and just about 3/4. And what is it in the other dimensions? Because it's A4, we don't normally do it in inches. So 8 by 8.25. Because my idea is I want to get this out of a single sheet of card. Okay, so this part here is 5.25. And then these pieces are each 1, so 5, 6, so we're at 7 1/4. If I take that away from my 11 3/4, that gives me 4.5 inches. Anybody want to check my maths there? Yeah, I think that's 4.5. Okay. So what I think I'm going to do, because again, if we look at the original box, you had a short piece and a longer piece, and I want to do that as well. So if we're going to have that in the middle, if I have one that's 3 inches, and then the other one that's 1.5 inches, it's quite small. What if we did it as 2.5 inches and 2 inches? Yeah. Right. It's because it's my 4.5 that I've got to play with for my 2 sides. So let's do one of them as 1, 2.5 inches, and the other one as 1, 2 inches. Okay, so now this is going to give me a bit of a lid, like so. It's not going to go the full way, but that's okay because this other bit will kind of cut up part way through. This bit will come over 2.5, and the other bit will be 2. Hello, is that so? If that's 2.5, that's 2. It's not going to meet enough in the middle. It's not going to be big enough. Okay, so I can't have pieces at the edge because they're not going to fold over and cover the top. So let's try doing pieces at the side. Or actually, let's take it down so that it's not 1 inch high. That gives us more space to play with. Let's instead do it so it is 3/4 of an inch high. So if we only do it at 3/4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then my flap, 1, 2, 3. That's why using the grid paper is really good, because then you can just 1, 2, 3, like I've just done, rub it out and start again. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So now I've got my 5 1/4 plus a 3/4 on each side. So this is why I'm doing it in inches. In some way in my head it's easier. Hey Ali, glad you're here. Right. 3/4 of an inch plus 3/4 of an inch is 1.5 inches. Again, using my rubber so that I get this right. So I've got 1.5 extra on top of my 5 1/4. So that makes it 6 3/4 in total. Take that away from my 11 3/4, and that gives me 5 to play with. Still isn't quite big enough to cover. Okay. So if we didn't do it, I wonder if we could do it this way. Right, what have we got in the other direction? So 3 3/4 plus 1.5 is 3, 4, 5 1/4. And if we took that away from 11 3/4, that would give us 6.5 to play with, which is more than enough to cover our piece in this direction. So let's build this out this way. So we've got, so it's 3 1/4, 1, 6 1/2. So let's do that as 3 and let's do it as 4 1/2 by 2. 1, 2 by 4 1/2, and then there'll be an overlap. Right now, I'm sure there's people who've joined which says Emma is just talking in numbers. Where's the crafting? I was promised Christmassy stuff. You will need to add a bit. I think I did add a bit. 3 3/4 plus 1 1/2, which is 4, 5 1/4, all the way along. I think this is going to work. Okay, let's test this. So I'm going to cut my piece of A4 cardstock to 6 3/4. You know, we're going to find out very quickly if this hasn't worked, but I think my maths is right. Okay, so we want to have, for the width, we've got 3/4 here. So I have cut my A4 to 6 3/4, and now I'm going to score at 3/4 each way. Okay, I'm just checking this should fit in the middle, which it does. Okay, next I'm going to score at 2 inches. This is either going to work really well or it's going to be a total disaster. Let's try this. 2 inches. Then I'm going to score, this one needs to be at 5 3/4 inches, because this bit should now hold the card in the center, and it does. 5 3/4, and then 6 1/2. Should be writing this down actually. So score at 5 1/4, and then score at 6 1/2. And then this bit's going to be 4 1/2 inches, so I'm going to score at 11. Which is way too big. No, I have done that wrong. I know what I did wrong though, and I can fix it. Oh, actually, I can fix it from here. No, I can't. Start again. Oops. Sorry, ladies. Clattered the camera. Right, I'm going to start this again. First, we're going to cut at 6 3/4. We're going to score at 3/4 on both sides. That bit is definitely right. Now, 2 inches. 2 3/4 inches. So we score at 2 inches. Then we score at 2 3/4 inches. Then we score at 6 1/2. I'm just checking if I scored at 6 1/2. Yep, that still fits. 6.5 now, 7.25. Write this down. And then finally cut the whole thing at 11.25. Yes, this is what I wanted. Apart from that first bit, apart from the first bit that I got wrong, it was totally right. So let's now fold over these pieces in my trusty bone folder. Okay, so now, no, you see, that's still too long. That's definitely the right size that I want it to be. That's my 5.25 by 3.75. That bit goes over the front. This bit is too long. Yeah, it is too long. I shouldn't. I'm just going to cut an inch off of this and that should help. Perfect. Okay, now I want to assemble the box. Where did I put my scissors? Here. Right. So this piece in the center that my card fits into, there are 4 corners. These are the pieces that I'm going to cut in. Basically, I'm cutting into my score line on all 4 of these creases, and I'm going to do it on both sides. Thank you, Jean. I confess at one point I thought that this was not going to work, but it has, so I am happy. So these little pieces, basically what we're doing here is what I call an H box, because it looks like a figure H. It looks like a letter H, basically. So I want to glue these in. Before I do it, I'm just going to check. Yeah, sometimes it's good to just trim these slightly, just on a slight diagonal. Don't need to do much, but it just makes the final box just that little bit neater. There we go. Then I am going to use my trusty Tombow. Going to do one side first. Oh, I'm just going to glue them all. What can go wrong? I'll tell you what can go wrong. I said I was going to decorate it before I glued it, didn't I? Oh well, too late. Right, let's stick these together. For those who did creativity now, you'll maybe recognise this style of box. I actually quite like it. It's very neat. So I now have this box, which my notelets will fit into. Ah, do you know what I didn't do? that was a bit stupid. Guess what else needs to go in the box? Think it's going to be big enough to fit the envelopes. There you go, ladies. Lessons learned. You follow from my mistakes. Oh, they fit just and no more. When you're making a box that's going to fit both notelets and envelopes, measure it against the envelope, not the notelet. Right. So now that bit tucks in there, and these bits tuck in there. And we've got our box. Yay! I think that's quite nifty. And it holds itself shut quite nicely, so it doesn't need a belly band or anything. But what it does need is decoration, because it's far too plain. So, let's see how we're going to decorate this now. A little bit and the big bit. I think having it looking this way is going to be nice. I do still have quite a lot of these pieces, quite a lot of these little bits, so I could stick them on the front like a bit of a border. Or I could do them like randomly all over. That's an option too. Or actually, I could just cut some DSP to go into this shape. I think that would actually look quite nice. Oh, right. No, I've had an idea. It does involve the punches, but it involves the DSP as well. So, oh yes, right. Let's see. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to pull out this one as well. Okay. And then this way, so what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to cut some strips, and actually that is exactly the size that I want it to be. So what size is that strip? That's 5 inches. So let's do another one of these. So doing it 1 inch strip and then cutting 5 inches. And then let's do the same with the green. This is 3 inches wide, but it actually looks nicer if I separate them slightly. I wonder what it would look like if I did it smaller than 3. Let's take it down to, instead of 1 inch, let's take it down to 3/4. Anybody else love this paper? If you were at the retreat we did last year, this is the same paper that we used for some of our projects. I really love it. I'm glad that we've still got it. It just makes Christmas cards so easy and so luxurious. Same design as the card front. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to put strips on here, like so. I'm going to space them out. And I'm going to use these little punches. So let's I am a creature of habit. I think doing the trees in the green looks best. Let's start in the centre. Do one at the edge and then one in the middle. If you're worried about them not being straight, then, well, first of all, remind yourself that these are handmade creations and not machine produced identical soulless items. But if you want, you can do things at a jaunty angle. There's absolutely no problem with that. You could also, if you wanted, mark the center point on these strips in order to make sure that they were perfectly spaced out. But again, I'm happy to just do this by eye. You can see where you're punching with these little punches anyway. One tip I will say, see for the stocking, rather than putting it, let's try and bring this up to the screen so you can see, rather than putting it straight up, I think just tilting it slightly so they look like their stockings hanging, it just makes it look a little bit better. I will show you when I'm finished with this strip, because I did one way and then I did the other one at a slightly jaunty angle. So did I do the other one the other way? Yeah, but if I hold it up, you can see that the stockings aren't flat topped. They're kind of slightly at an angle because they look better as if they're hanging up from that point. So let's now stick these down, and because I want them to be evenly stuck, I'm going to do the top one first. Just putting some Tombow. Space that out. And I'm spacing it so that the space on both left and right is the same as the space between the top of the strip and the top of the lid. And then the one at the bottom, I'm going to again space it in the middle so that these gaps on both left and right are about the same, and then space it so that the space between the bottom of the strip and the bottom of the lid is the same as the spaces on either side of the card. And then once I've put these two in, the starry one is going to fit in the centre. What I would say, learn from my mistakes again, be sparing with your glue. It's kind of bulging out the sides a bit, and so my fingers are getting quite sticky. So Tombow is a fantastic tool. Little goes a long way. I've just realised as well I didn't put any of the gold metallic trim underneath, but actually I don't think you need it. I think it looks good. There we go. So now we can fit our envelopes and our cards into our cute little box. There we go. What do you think? Is that a project that you guys would try and do yourself? Is that simple enough? I know I made the box look really complicated, but actually once you've made it, I'm going to put these measurements on onto my blog so that you've got them. These strips, we could stick these down the sides, couldn't we? We could stick them along the bottom just to make the bottom flap pretty as well. Let's just do that. Waste not, want not. If I don't stick them down on something, then they're going to end up not getting used. So let's do the red one first. It would be easier to take this out and put it down flat this way. There we go. That way I get a chance to properly press it down. I'll make sure you get the measurements, Jean. No problem at all. There we go. So, cards in the box. Little lid goes in first, and then the big lid goes in on top. Just finishes that off. There we go. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you have enjoyed that crafting this evening. Once again, the bundle that I used is one of our online exclusives, a little cheer, which has got the stamp set and the matching punch. I did do a card with the stamp set, just so you can see what that looks like. So again, using the stamps, you've got the line to use for the hanger, and then I used these stamps that matches the punch, just in some different colours, and then a sentiment along the bottom. So really, really worthwhile bundle to get, and it is available now to all customers, not just demonstrators. And the little box is really cute for holding all your noteplets. So yeah, well, thank you very much for joining me today. I will see you again next week with some more crafting goodies. And don't forget the free postage, free shipping between now and Friday. It finishes at 11 p.m. So don't leave it to the last minute if you want to take advantage of that offer. All right. As always, any questions, get in touch and have a fab week. Take care, everyone. Bye.